Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Professor Tex, a.k.a. Uncle Tex. You guys will probably see by the title. But before I even go there, let's just go ahead on and just deal with, uh, the elephant in the room, if you will. One of the things that I want to discuss and talk about is for football heads. I'm not looking for homers. Those are the guys who sit up there and say, yeah, but this, that, and the other, because they got their favorite player and this, that, and the other, and want to big up him and all this stuff. All that kind of ridiculous stuff. First and foremost, I'm a football fan. Period. End of story. My team, as you guys all know, is Dallas. If they're screwing up, and I'll let it be known. Right? It is what it is. Right? And I'll point that out. One of the things that has been happening, especially this past, after the Super Bowl was over with, everything people want to talk about and discuss now is about, oh, Brady won. They put it in Belichick's face. They did this, they did that. He's nothing without him. He's this, he's that. Let's go ahead on and make this thing clear and stop the homerism. I'm sick of that BS. Stop the homerism. Let's put it like this. As you can see by the title. Does the team make the player or does the player make the team? Right? It's kind of catch-22, if you will, because a player has to make the team in order to play. And it has to be a team for him to play on, which goes back to that of ownership. So as we see the finished product out on the field, right? And that's all we look at. And that's fine. We don't need the integral parts of it and all this other kind of stuff. You just want to see the finished product out there on the field. And that's really all any of us really basically wants to see, right? The finished product out on the field. So what happens, so you had this whole situation, and I've said this, and I broke this down before, the situation with Belichick, Brady, Kraft, New England Patriots. And I told you guys last week week before last, I said if Brady wanted to stay with New England, he could have stayed with New England. And this is what nobody wants to hear. If he wanted to stay with New England, he could have stayed with New England. But Brady still wanted to get paid top 10, top 5, top 10 quarterback money. And Kraft is not paying that. So it's not like Brady needed the bread. The guy's rich. His old hen, she make a lot of money. She's worth a lot of money. They've had some kids. I don't think she give him that many problems or nothing like that. So he gonna hang tough up in that. And that's that. Right? And Brady ought to be worth quite a few C notes, if you will. So with that being said, if he wanted to stay, he could have stayed. You know what I'm saying? But Brady knew it wasn't no talent on that team. There's no talent. There's no wide receiver. He had Julian Edelman. Edelman is boy and all that, but Edelman has never been to a Pro Bowl. No All-Pro. Those guys, it's a culture that Bill Belichick built over there. I don't care how you slice it, how you dice it. Brady, bought into that. Those guys met together at the perfect time in their career because they had something to prove. And they worked. And Brady was a mad disciple of Belichick, who was Jim Jones, and he drunk the Kool-Aid for almost 20 years. And you see the results. He drank the Kool-Aid. Now, Brady, as time went on after winning 4 or 5 championships and whatnot, damn, dude, can you lighten up something? I mean, I helped do this, that, and the other. But Belichick, in his DNA, is guys like Chuck Noll. In his DNA is guys like Paul Brown. In his DNA is guys like Vince Lombardi. No other player is bigger than the team, and he treated them as such. And it's like that's for him. For you look at it, that's not true. You have to treat him. Even Jimmy Johnson said, after he got rid of a player right before the playoffs, I can't remember my man, John Roper, hell of a linebacker coming out of Yates, out of Houston. A&M Bruise Brothers. You remember them? For them guys that followed Southwest Conference football back in then, John Roper and I can't think of my man's name. It'll come to me later on. It's gonna come to me right soon as I leave this here. It's gonna come to me. The Bruise Brothers. That outside linebacker, they create havoc. Rope was there. Rope was laying up there, sleep up inside. He just got traded from Chicago to Dallas or whatever, something like that. And my man over in that joke sleep. If that's Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, hey man, get up. Oh, he might not even say anything to him. When you a bench warmer and you ain't really doing nothing and you're barely hanging on, you gotta go. Right? So with certain guys, you treat a certain way. Belichick was just going to treat Brady just the same way he treated any other player, which was a mistake. But at the same time, like I said, he drank the Kool-Aid for almost 20 years there. It's football first down, everything else second, third, fourth, and fifth. He built the culture. Belichick is responsible for a culture that was built. And we're going to talk about it today. I might go a little long, and I don't normally go long. I need to start doing podcasts and stuff like that, trying to get things going a certain way, man. Try to take it to the next level because I'm tired of seeing a lot of these whack ass dudes up out there running their mouth on these different on these comments and on you posts over Instagram talking a bunch of junk. I'm gonna jump into a lot of things today, right? Just to clear the air and say, and I dare anybody put your comments up in there. We do a show and we get it going, we get it cracking, right? So my thing is this: so a coach has to create. He has to create an atmosphere. He has to create a culture. Which is why when you really break it down, the term cult, which everybody gets scared because of the Manson thing and because of Jim Jones and what he did. Well, you can't have a culture without a cult. And anything from the police department to the government to all of the dentists to whomever, doctors, dentists, nurses, whatever, that whole profession is a cult-like behavior because it's a certain culture that they want you to follow or subscribe to for the greater mission. Okay? So everybody, the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines is a cult. So, but stop giving it a negative connotation because of two assholes that people put up on a pedestal. Because their lives or whatever. Okay? But so Bill Belichick, in all terms, was Jim Jones, and Brady was one of the people that drank the Kool-Aid. But instead of that, but to drink the Kool-Aid, he soaked in. He went in all in for the culture that was there. So that dissolves. Because Brady subsequently wanted to get top 10 money as a quarterback money, and there's no talent there and whatnot. Because if Brady was all about New England, still doing that, he'd have stayed his ass right there in New England. But he knew there wasn't no talent there. That's why he bounced. And Tampa said, "We'll give you money. I'm out." He could have stayed because remember, Belichick was trying to get rid of him a couple of years ago after that Philly loss in the Super Bowl. Give it to Garoppolo or something like that the year before, whatever. No, he fought him with that tooth and nail. No, Tommy wants to play till he's 45. I'll let him play till he's 45. Long as he's taking a certain money that he's taking. No, Brady's like, I want money. So let's get that out there, right? So he could have stayed there. You know it, I know it. He knew it was no talent there. As Cam would find out, there's nothing there. There was nothing there. Period, end of story. You got receivers that cannot create separation and whatnot. Cam might not be the most accurate passer, but he can sit up there and chunk that damn ball. And if guys can't even get open, what's the point? And then Brady, what's the point? He shouldn't have won. He shouldn't have won over in New England last year if Buffalo would have been a little bit more consistent. Hell, Josh Allen would have won the AFC East last year. Okay, moving on. So that's the take on Brady. Brady's decorated. And I'll tell you, on my 100-year anniversary squad of all time and whatnot for the first 100 years of the league, he is the quarterback. Most accomplished. Even though it's about a 10 or 15 quarterback I'd probably pick before him, but he's the most accomplished. He did that. He's an assassin. I call him the brain. He does not make a mistake. He does what? He does his job. That's a mantra that the New England Patriots under that of Bill Belichick scream, do your job. He does his job. His job is to deliver the football to call the plays, deliver the football to the receivers, tight ends, running backs, and make sure and do the play out. That's his job. He doesn't do it fancy. Doesn't have no strong. He just does his job. And he makes everybody else do their job. When you go into a situation like I mentioned in the last broadcast, in a work environment, everybody does what they're supposed to do. Life is easy. When everybody doesn't do what they're supposed to do in the workforce, it's hard. Everybody knows that. I don't care if you're playing football or if you're working at a law firm or if you're working at a freaking daycare. It doesn't matter. Everybody has to be on the same page. And it just so happens that if it's bland, whatever they do, Brady was going to be bland. If he's going to open it up, he's going to open up. He's going to do his job. What he's supposed to do is deliver that football. Deliver that football. That's his job. So that's what Brady did. Brady did that in Tampa. Tampa was already a talented team. I've already talked about that last broadcast. We know it. He was a straw that stirred the drink, if you will. Did everything he did. That's Tom Brady. Period. End of story. That's that. We got that out of our system. Tom Brady has won 7 Super Bowl championships. Which brings me to another thing, as you'll see in the title as well. And I'm gonna get a lot of flack because I was on Instagram and a guy on there, he's a big Browns fan. He said, "Congratulations to Tom Brady for tying Otto Graham for 7 championships." Then you got a plethora. He gets a plethora of he is a plethora of response. And one of the response I did, I said, "Thank you." Because for somebody, not only obviously he's a Browns fan, but he's a football historian guy, and I always respect men like that. That's why I respect guys like that, because that's what I am. I deal with the historical aspect of it, and it's real cool. It's a bunch of history I know, it's a bunch I don't know, right? But at the same time, like I said, and then, blah, 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 guys start bringing up, but Brady did this, and Brady did that, and Brady did this, and Brady did that. We understand that. Brady's the GOAT, da-da-da-da-da. He's the GOAT, he's this, he's that, yeah. All of that BS. We got that. And nobody is questioning that. But when you want to get down to the nitty gritty of what Otto Graham did with the Cleveland Browns from 46 to 50, from 46 to 56 or something like that, Otto Graham went 104-17-5 and was in 10 championship games and won 7. Let me go, the AAFC. I'll use this analogy, and I use this when it came from me nowhere. That's what happens when you open yourself up and whatnot. You'll see. You go have a conversation with Julius Erving, a.k.a. Dr. J, right? And you ask Dr. J about his 2 ABA championships, his 2 ABA MVPs, and his and about his championship, and then what he won in the NBA. And he'll tell you, I guarantee you, well, I won 4 championships, or 3 or 4 championships altogether. 3 championships altogether. You think he's going to not take heed? Because a lot of those teams end up being NBA teams anyway. Right? So do you discredit that? No, it's not discredit. It's in the Hall of Fame. It's not discredit. I go you one even further. One of the top 10 greatest receivers that ever played the game, in my opinion, was Lance Alworth. First 9 years in the league, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it was, he put up phenomenal numbers in AFL. If you take his AFL numbers out and just exclude them, and they don't do that, he only played a couple of years later because he played the majority. He played 95% of his career in the AFL. The last couple of years he played for the Dallas Cowboys and went to 2 Super Bowls and got a ring. Right? That's what he did. Did you discard his numbers? He's the first AFL player that was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They did the merger, and go look at this. Look up his stats. And I'm not going to even talk about that. So no. So you won't do that for him. But everybody wants to talk about that. Then you'll have a joker while I'm on that forum. Then this guy start talking mess about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But better yet, before I even go there, then I started seeing all these other types of things after, Brady got his 7th ring and all this type of stuff. And Tampa Bay got their championship, their 2nd championship in franchise history. You started having women talk about, well, Serena did this, Serena did that. You even had a guy sitting there talking about some guy on cricket. And I talked about this before. This is where I honestly think social media having the opportunity for everybody to voice their opinion. It's a cool thing, but it's also a stupid thing. It gives people like me and other guys who are like-minded to talk about the sport, who knows what they're talking about, as opposed to a bunch of crumb bums and just people just running off and have diarrhea at the mouth. Football is the ultimate team sport. Period. End of story. All this Patrick Mahomes, even this guy was on there saying that Patrick Mahomes will never do what Brady did. He will never. And you act like Stephen A. Smith, I told you on his last broadcast, these guys have literally has condemned him like he's a bum. He didn't beat Brady. Brady's a 43-year-old quarterback. I will say this again. The stupidest thing in that marketing aspect of a game, put it this way. Back in 1986, 87, the year Lawrence Taylor won the MVP award, as well as the Defensive Player of the Year award, as well as the Super Bowl that they won, they built that. I'm like 18, 19 years old. They built that. Yeah, I just graduated out of high school. I'm going to UTI, right? Come home for the Super Bowl. This is January 87, right? Going on 19 years old. They built that John Elway versus Lawrence Taylor. That made sense. A quarterback versus a quarterback does not make sense because a quarterback is going against my defense. So I'm against them guys. I'm trying to beat those guys. So that made sense. But you don't hear much of that album because a defensive guy never really wins the MVP award anyway. But this particular year they did. And they made it that. Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady. They don't go head to head. If they actually went head to head off of physical attributes and shit like that, I'm like, Mahomes would walk all over Brady. That sounds crazy, but it's true and everybody knows that. So cut the crap, right? Stop it. Stop it. It's a stupid comparison. Cut it out, right? And I said this before, guys were sitting up there saying, well, he had 7 rings. And then start bringing up Jordan. Jordan does not even have the most rings in his sport. I remember when Jordan held up the 6 fingers. Fine. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar already done that. But nobody wants to talk about the champ. Nobody want to talk about Cap. Because he was sullen, he was, he had an attitude, not an attitude. He just wasn't for the rip roaring all that mess. He just wasn't about that. My point of it is, like I said, he didn't hold up 6 because you know why? He knew it was going to take 7 to pass Bill Russell, and by the time he won his last one, Kareem was pushing 40. He knew he wasn't going to be able to do that. But Jordan holds up 6 after he wins 6 because he passed Magic. Passing Magic, that doesn't mean anything. Now you won 6, so you have to win at least 5 more to tie Bill Russell and 6 to pass him. So why was 6 significant? Because he passed Magic. But this is what they did with the sport. They marketed a sport that was on his last leg per se because nobody was watching basketball. It was on tape delayed. It was guys like later on would be Magic and Bird who took their rivalry and what they built up and then brought that over into NBA and took NBA, and NBA is what you see today. In other words, both those guys literally basically did what Joe Namath did for the AFL / combined with the NFL. That's what they did. And even after all of that, NFL is still the most popular sport in the wilderness of North America. Period. End of story. Right? So when we start talking about these different things, man, come on. It's like, so all this Jordan talk, go, da. It's so ridiculous. But Jordan, at least Brady, is tied for having the most rings in his sport. That's the most rings in sport. I'm like, Jordan never even came close. He got 6. He was 6 off. He was 5 off from tying and 6 for eclipsing it. He didn't get close. So why is Jordan? I know why. Jordan came along, he was a perfect storm. Just like Brady and Belichick, perfect storm in 2000. Perfect storm. Two guys are hungry and trying to win and will do anything what it takes to win. And they did that. Jordan came along, perfect timing. Perfect timing. He came along, hip hop was on its way up. Sneakers is a big part of that hip hop scene. Dope boys and whatnot, all the type of stuff that they wear. Sneakers is a major part from guys coming up in that era around my age, a few years older and whatnot. That's what them guys, it was all about that. And the Nike phenomenon, Nike was just a track shoe shit. We had Nikes and whatnot in school and whatnot, so it was just a shoe. It wasn't anything else. Converse was the shoe. But with Jordan, marketed, did what it did and took off. Like I said, and then now you got LeBron James. Where it's this back and forth about him and LeBron James. LeBron James is about to lap him as far as just achievements on the court, playing the position with points, rebounds, because all of them basically do the same thing. He has 4 championships. If he wins 2 more, he just ties Jordan. He just ties Jordan. And if you look at it, he would have done more than what Jordan did. Take Nike out of it. Oh, great clutch player. I don't care. When I broke that thing down to that guy over there on Instagram, he didn't say anything else about when I talked about Bill Russell. Because nobody wants to talk about Bill Russell. Nobody wants to talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They just want to talk about Jordan. The same thing about over here. It's just like, dude, I don't do that. I don't do that. And these guys are dumping on Pat Mahomes like he's a scrub. Do you realize that you had an article, and I told you guys about this, when they were sitting up there trying to say, did Josh Allen actually pass Patrick Mahomes? When? In what universe? It's ridiculous. Right? And now he loses to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense ran by Devin White, who I guarantee is probably be the best inside linebacker in the game for the next 5 or 6 years. He keep going. Talk about it, man. It's ridiculous. Some of the things these people say is the stupidest thing come out of their mouths. And it makes no freaking sense. You mean to tell me Patrick Mahomes, because they lost, he is nothing? He did not just win an MVP a year and a half or so ago? He hasn't thrown, he's the fastest guy to 100 touchdowns in this league's history, in its 100-year history? He's a bum? He's a bum because he has a tackle and guard missing? Because his defense didn't do what they're supposed to do? And you go, and like I said, and you go and play, and you don't even get me started with that. This is ridiculous. The way that people sit up there, log this stuff up and put this stuff, package it up and throw it out there. So, again, I will say this, and peace out to my man that sit up there and talked about this on Instagram. You know, yeah, Tom Brady he tied Otto Graham. Point blank. If you want to break it down like that. His championships don't count. No, they have to count. They count them in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? So, cut the crap. So, Brady done all the stuff. It's fine. But, you know, it is what it is, man. You know, I just wanted to come in and hit that because you got all these people that talk and they don't respect. And then you had these guys will say, and I'm going to end it with this. These guys say, oh, well, Otto Graham played. There was only 8, 9 teams. I don't care. You can't fault a man when he was born. Don Hudson caught 99 touchdowns back in the 30s and 40s. Do you know how long it took for that record to be beat? That's impressive. Now, Don Hudson probably couldn't get off the line of scrimmage if Mel Blount was lining up against him. Or Willie Brown, Dion, any of them guys. I'm just saying physical corners, any corner, any athletic corner, he's not getting, especially if you could play, he's not getting, of course, Don Hudson played against guys that look like they worked at a damn grocery store. In that era. That's not his fault. That's not his fault. I can go talk about that same mess with baseball. But you can't discount it. I can't discount Murderer's Row for the New York Yankees and what that organization did all these years up until this time here. I can sit up there and say, well, what they would have done if they'd have played some of them Negro leagues and stuff like that. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, they didn't. In history, you still got to count it because they played. It was what it was. And they talk great about those players damn near 100 years later. But you won't do that. It seems like you don't want to give people their props. This generation don't want to give people their props. All these people want to talk about Jordan, and they act like Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, Tom Heinsohn, John Havlicek, and all those fucking guys didn't even matter. Sam Jones. They act like those guys didn't matter. They act like they didn't even exist. And that's what I was trying to explain to one cat on there. So when you say greatest of all time, you can't say it. Talking about it will never happen again. It will never be this. You know how many times in NFL films I heard it'll never be a dynasty, like there'll never be another team or another organization like the Green Bay Packers. A few years later, about a decade later, here you got who? Well, basically a few years later, actually. 5 or 6 years later, actually. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers. For a Super Bowl. Never happened again. Never, ever, ever. San Francisco 49. Never happened again. New England Pats. Okay, then what? That's why I said these things can happen. You can't say it won't happen because it will. I heard the talk coming up, watching NFL films, everything that everybody said and whatnot and everything like that. Like I sit up there and said, you can't shit on old school. You can't do it. It's dead. Do you realize that Jim Brown retired damn near 60 years ago and he is still the 11th top rusher in the game to this day? Do you realize that Jim Brown is number 15 or 16 for a rushing performance of over 1,800 and some odd, 1886 or something like that in a 14-game schedule? And he still has one of the top performances to this day. And he did it in 14 games, damn near 58, 59 years ago. Do you realize that? I don't think you guys realize that. Don't tell me about trying to scrap those guys up over there and talk about today. They didn't do this. They played when they were supposed to play. It is what it is. You play the cards you dealt. You can't help when you was born. Jim Brown cannot help. He was born in 1936 and somebody was born in 1996. It is what it is. Shit, you can't do nothing about that. You work with what you got. So that's what I'm talking about here, man. You know, it's irritating for these guys to just, I'm done with this. It's about Jordan. It's about Brady. Ain't about nobody else. And I can see with Brady because Brady has won as most championships as anybody that's won in the NFLs in that sport. Jordan hadn't even done that. He came up 6 short. 6 short. Although 6 is a great accomplishment, Bill Russell has 11. As a matter of fact, Robert Horry has 7. They're going to want to tell that. But nobody wants to talk about that. You follow? So, again, man, just a little something I want to spill and whatnot coming up in there and talk about today, man. You know, just a little something, man. You know, all this stuff that's going on, all this bunch of crap talking. These guys running their mouth. I'm like, respect the game, man. Respect the game. Don't sit up there and act like, you know what I'm saying, you know, you're trying to get somebody because it fits your narrative. Them guys want to talk that shit about with Jordan because it fits his narrative. Take the Nike shit out. Jordan's a bad boy. He gonna probably be the two guard or whatever they call him or whatever it is, the position. I mean, hands down. Okay, got that. Hands down. But take the Nike shit out of it, man. Take the homerism out of that shit, man. Take it out. Because guys don't even want to give LeBron James his problem. He couldn't even play back during the tournament. Bullshit. At 6'8", 255, damn near 260, who was going to stop him? Who? Who was going to stop him? With the speed and everything, this guy was a wide freaking receiver. With the speed, his size, his quickness, his strength, his athleticism, who was going to stop him from going to the hole? Who was going to stop him without fucking around and getting the tech and sending him to the fucking line? Who's gonna stop him? Go on, name him down there. You could try to throw Robin in there. He'd have out there and split Robin ass in half. We talking about bodies, man. Bodies. The Davis boy, who it don't matter. Mason, it don't matter. He'd have got up with their asses. I put it there. And I enjoyed that era because that's the era that I came up on, that I watched, that I enjoyed. Them guys a few years older than what I am, around the same age, a few years older. But come on, man. Cut the crap. Cut the shit. Stop it. Jeez. And LeBron came out of high school and still playing. Was he 36 now? Come on, man. You got to give it up the way it's up. You got to give it up. Right? Stop worrying about things fitting your freaking narrative. And like I tell you guys, I tell you guys all the time, man, there is no grade. Say, got any comments, suggestions, leave them down there in the box, punch the like button, say, that you like it and everything like that. And also, like I say, man, I tell you guys, there's no greatest of all time. There's no GOAT as long as time is still going on. People don't take a grasp of that much. People don't get that. All time, when you use the term all time, that means all time. Time is still going on. The point is, I've heard that argument before as a 9-year-old. I heard it as a 13-year-old. I heard it as a 15-year-old. I heard it as an 18-year-old. I heard it as a 28-year-old man. I heard it as a 38-year-old man. I heard it as a 48-year-old man. It's like all of that crap. And guess what? It keeps changing. I just told somebody back in November 2010, you remember when the NFL Network did the top 100 players of all time? Tom Brady was ranked number 21. Does that list change now? Of course it's going to change. So you can't say all time, partner, because it's going to change. Because what has he done? Because during that time with 3, he's won 4 more since then. That validates what I talk about. Long as time is still going on, somebody can win 8. And with the advent, next year they're going to start playing 17 games. They've already added this year, past playoffs, they added an extra wild card. What happens 10 years from now? They're going to end up having these players playing 20 games, probably. An extra wild card, which gives you, and your quarterback's already throwing about 40 some odd times a game, so that might make it even easier for somebody like, say, a Pat Mahomes to get up to Brady because you're giving them more chances. Think about what you're saying. Okay? I can tell you guys all the time, there's no GOAT, there's no greatest of all time as long as time's still going on. And I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do.